Hey, it's Chris. Today I want to give you a long-term review, and I do mean long-term, on the iPad Pro plus Magic Keyboard combo. As you can see, I have both the black and the white version, and these are rigged up on the 12.9-inch iPad Pros. And today I want to fill you in on how they've held up over the long haul, but also whether or not I would recommend the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro for a keyboard case combo, or whether I would end up steering you in a different direction. Now, quick announcement before we get started. You can see I got some new wallpapers out. I will link them up down below. And on top of that, if you're into freeform, especially on the iPad, I've got a brand new course you can pre-order today to save 50%. Freeform Unleashed, which is unlike any other freeform content you've ever seen because it goes way beyond the basics. So I'll link that up for you down below. I just have to say though, when the Magic Keyboard first came out, when it was first announced, I was super excited. And I remember when I got my hands on it, I was almost more excited for the Magic Keyboard than I was for the new iPad Pro at the time. Not quite, but the two of them combined together make for quite a powerful combination. And one of the first things I noticed right off the bat was just the build quality. I knew immediately that this thing was like a tank. Just practically speaking, I would have assumed right off the bat that it would hold up really well over time. And actually the black one here, which I probably have used more than the white one, does have just a little bit of some peeling happening there. And then the white one here just kind of has like a little divot almost taken out of it. I don't remember what caused that, but it's kind of a slight indent or impression there. Now the color is a different thing because that counts for wear and tear too. You can notice that, you know what? Both of these show dirt and grime and wear and tear in terms of just like your fingerprints, in terms of gunk that just shows up on top from taking it in and out of rooms and backpacks. And I would have initially thought that the white one would have been way dirtier after all this time. But you know what? I actually feel like I think the black one is showing the most dirt and grime for me. And 100% I did not clean these off or anything, so I know it might be a little bit gross checking this out, but that's the whole point here, is to show real life. So in the fingerprint and smudge departments, I feel like they both show things in their own way. But you know what's in great shape on both of these is the hinges. Hasn't worn out, still opens and closes like a champ with no issues. And I continue to really appreciate that extra charging port there. That's been a big bonus. Now, regarding that slight wear and tear on the black one that I showed you around the edge, I gotta say, I'd rather have my iPad case get beat up than the iPad itself. So I guess I'm glad that that protection's there. But speaking of protection, you don't have all that much protection. It's not 360-degree bumper protection like you would get on the Logitech Combo, which is like $100 less, which I did an extensive comparison of if you want to check that out. But the keys on both of these still press really nicely, no malfunctions, nothing like the butterfly issues that the MacBooks experienced a couple years back. If you've subscribed to the channel at all, you know that I sing the praises of this particular typing experience all the time, and that's because it's one of my favorite typing experiences in the Apple ecosystem, not just for the iPad, but just in general. I really love the key travel. I really love the responsiveness. There's another Chris who talks about iPads that happens to disagree, and that's okay. He can have his opinion. He's wrong in this case, but not only are the keys very responsive compared to especially third-party cheaper keyboards, not only has the typing remained consistently comfortable over time, but I find myself coming back to the Magic Keyboard after trying out standalone keyboards, other keyboard case combos, everything from Apple's own standalone keyboards to mechanical keyboards to Logitech keyboards and anything in between. This consistently is my favorite. I don't know if you can tell, but there's no Paperlike on this particular iPad. There is a Paperlike over here. I love the way that it looks. I love the way that it feels. And I love using my Apple Pencil with the Paperlike on this iPad. It doesn't feel right without my Paperlike screen protector. I don't like the feel, even for my finger, of a naked iPad screen. I implore you to check out Paperlike. They're a sponsor today, making this video possible and really supporting the channel in a big way for many years. So check them out. Trust me, you're really doing yourself a favor. So much for the typing. Now, the other big factor here is the trackpad. Well, I should say the other factor, because it's not a big trackpad. In fact, that's one of the things that's rumored to be upgraded in the next Magic Keyboard, which could be coming out shortly, is the trackpad. But in terms of how it works, it's very functional. And it clicks in all the corners. It still clicks in all the corners. That was something that was messed up on something like the Logitech Combo for a while there. I think they fixed it eventually. And this has been great for gestures. It's been excellent for multitasking. It's kind of just enough room for your 3 fingers to slide around and swipe around. And I guess one of the benefits of having the trackpad not be overly large like it is on some Macs is that you're not accidentally bumping into it or activating it when you're typing, because you can kind of just arch right over it. In fact, I've had various iPad setups where I'll hook up Apple's external trackpad, and I actually kind of like this more compact size better, and like it that it's built in. It's been very convenient to just have the keyboard and the trackpad all built in, all into the case, that still remains easy to rip off, you know, if I want to disconnect and just be completely in tablet mode. So I feel like this nice cantilevered floaty design paired with the nice keyboard typing experience and the trackpad, that sort of added up, along with some software enhancements over the last couple years, to making the iPad feel quote unquote more laptop-like, although I'm not gonna go down that route. I've done so many comparisons and I'm not wanting this to actually become more laptop-like. I like that it's kind of a transformative device where it can be a tablet or it can be more of a, let's say, just traditional productivity kind of office work machine as well, but remain a creative behemoth. Now, something to note about these is that they use the power of your iPad to stay on. So if you're wondering about the battery life, especially over the long haul here, versus something like the Logitech again, which charges up, has its own battery, so you don't have to worry about it draining your iPad, I would say there is a slight impact, but it's so imperceptible. It doesn't bother me. I don't really notice. If you haven't ordered the productivity course, now is an excellent time. Why? Because you have about a month and a half before my new course launches, which is plenty of time to work through the productivity course, get that all figured out, get that lined up, and then dovetail with the new course, which goes hand in hand. But the productivity course is for everyone. It'll help you get more done in less time with less stress in the Apple ecosystem. And that leads us to what might be kind of the big issue with this, and that's the portability and convenience factor. Mostly what I'm talking about here is the weight, because you know what? This thing's not light. It is not a feather. It is pretty heavy. And by pretty heavy, I mean like very heavy. There's such a huge difference carrying this around and carrying this around. It's not enough of a deal for me to not recommend this, number one, although I know some people want to travel as light as possible, and I get that, especially if you're, on a plane or something. You got a big heavy backpack or bag you're taking with you. That's not me. Even on the plane, I still want to bring this with me because that's where I get a lot of work done. Pop down the tray, plop this out, and actually get to work. And I just wouldn't want to be without this keyboard and this cantilever design, the floaty design. Someplace like on a plane is not the place where you want the Logitech Combo Touch, because that thing spreads out like nobody's business, just all over the place. And it's cool because you get some different angles of view if you're on a desk, but if you're in a compact spot, there's nothing better really than the Magic Keyboard. That's where it really excels. So you do have to balance the weight, which is heavy, with that convenience, like the smaller footprint. And they sort of cancel each other out, in my opinion. So at the end of the day, if you ask me, is this a worthwhile investment for you to make? Now that's a tricky one because the iPad Pro itself, already expensive, not the cheapest iPad in Apple's arsenal. But when you add in a $300 accessory, a $300 keyboard, just saying that sounds crazy, on top of the ridiculously expensive iPad itself, I mean, you gotta think twice before pulling the trigger on that. In my book, it's a definite luxury, but in my book, it's also definitely worth it if you have the extra cash to spend. I mean, a $100 difference between this and probably the next most popular competitor, the Logitech Combo Touch, after having both, testing both, I like a lot about the Logitech. It does have that bumper protection. It's kind of a cool fabric-y feel. It costs less, $100 less, but ultimately, I didn't end up using it long haul like I did this. So I think that tells you everything that you need to know. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to pre-order the course if you love Freeform as much as I do and you want to get the most out of it. And you're like, what can I do with Freeform beyond the basics, beyond the mind mapping and the mood boards or whatever you've seen online? I've got so many cool demo projects that you've never even thought of. in this course. I can't wait to unleash it. Freeform Unleash, pre-order it, save 50%. The link is up in the description, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.